Zanetta. Welcome, everybody. We're back
We're back. Yay! We're live. Yay!
on Fun Fresh Fridays.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And oh yeah, let me stop this right here. Let me turn this off because I don't want it going off while we're on. Okay. Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah. Just a
Like,
little bit of a rough moment there, but I'm good.
yeah.
We're here.
Technical things are all worked out.
Yes. Yeah. So my computer crashed and I had to restart and redo everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It had to go back to factory mode. I had to erase everything. Yeah. Delete everything.
oh,
So,
really?
so as I'm going through a whole bunch of stuff, I'm finding out that, oh gosh, I got to reset that. I got to reset that. So this is one of the things that I had to reset with the camera and the, yeah. So
Oh, wow. Always have to expect the unexpected, don't we?
right. Yeah. So as you can see, I don't have my bows because it's not
Connected.
right.
That's okay. But we can hear you and
Awesome.
you can hear me. And
Yes,
I,
I can.
I guess everyone else can hear us. And if you're live, on now. Let us know if you can hear us. Hashtag live. We can hear
Yes.
you.
Let us know if you can hear it. Say hello. Where you from? Where you watching from?
Hmm.
So we have an interesting topic.
We do, don't we?
Yes. So I was like, what's going on in your mind there?
Well, I thought we'd just talk about love for a
Mm-hmm.
while. You
Okay.
know that song, Let's Talk About Love, Baby. Let's talk about you and me. You know
Okay.
that song? I don't know who sings it. I was like trying to work out who sings that song.
um,
It's a,
actually, let's talk about sex.
oh, is it? What did you do? Oh my God, how did I slip that one up? It is. Let's talk about sex, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just changed the words. I just said, let's
There
talk
you go.
about love.
Yeah, you can. You can do that. Yeah.
And I wanted to like explore and talk about, you know, I've heard a lot of people talk about, back in the day, or we used to do it like this. And today, things have just changed, particularly with this
Mhm.
whole digital revamp and
Right.
that we're all being pushed.
Mhm.
I won't say gently because it's not really gentle, I don't think. I mean, it's been coming, but it's really like you either get on the bandwagon or you get off, I
Right.
think now. And when it comes to love, there's this kind of old school love, what I'd like to call, and then you have this new school love. And I had this conversation actually yesterday with a friend of mine. I was at the gym. Um,
Mhm.
you may know him. He actually came on one of my podcasts a few years ago. He's a musician,
Okay.
David Marama. If you're out there, hi David.
Hi
And
there.
he's a great musician. And we were just happened to be talking about, like how things have just changed when it comes to what people think love is today, as opposed to what
Mhm.
people thought love was, years ago.
Mhm.
And that's hence why I call it old school love. And even just what does it mean? Like, what does love mean? And what does
Mhm.
old school love mean? And what does
Right.
new school love mean? So it's not just what is love, because we've all got our own interpretation of what love is, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, we do.
Obviously, because of our upbringing, what's been modeled to us, our influences, social media, particularly at the moment. So you may have changed your views on what love is now, particularly after some experiences, love experiences, relationship experiences.
Right.
So, yeah. So, Zena, I'm going to put the question on you. Like, what is old school love to you as opposed to new school love?
Well, when you pose this question, I was like, "What is old love? I mean, old school love, and what is the new?" I was like, "Oof, I can say a lot of the new one because I've heard some things that I've never heard before. I had to Google it." What
And
is
that new, right? That new.
that? Yeah. Um, so to me, old school love is more so of romanticizing it.
Mm,
The courtship, the the going out on a date with not just you and the person, but with the crowd of people. That used to be
mhm.
the old school. The old school, yeah, the dating, the courtship. That's what I remember for, the old school love. And um, actually getting to know the individual first, going to their home. I remember um, I had suitors coming to the house, and some of them were bumping into each other or at the same time, and it felt awkward for me. I'm like,
Sitters, like as in babysitters you're talking about? No.
no, no, suitors. They're coming to court.
Oh,
So, so in the Philippines, when a gentleman, a man, wants to date a woman, they come to the home
mhm.
and they court. That's courting. Some of them bring gifts, um, and just sit there, and mom and dad is right there. Brothers, my brothers are right there. And yeah, so they actually come to the
It's a real
house.
family affair. Like,
Yeah, yes, it's so when you started talking about old school love, that's what came to my mind, the
mhm,
courtship.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the commitment, I guess, like they came, obviously he'd be coming into the house knowing what he has to how he has to show up for the family, obviously, and what his
Right,
responsibilities are, and not only to you, obviously, but to the whole family, right?
right, right. Yeah. And I remember one time there was two of them at the same time. They came to the house at the same time.
2.
Yeah,
So there was
two.
like this
Awkward.
and how would you have 2, Zanetta? Like, how would that be? Like, just the first
I don't plan
I
none of
know, the
that.
family does.
No, they just come and want a court. Yeah, they just come. There's no set, there's no schedule. The guy just comes to the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with flowers and
And you know the
chocolate
guy
and
previously of him coming? Or don't yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, I wouldn't know they would be previously
no, but
coming.
you knew
No.
of them, right?
Yes, yeah, I knew them. So sometimes I would be in my house.
Clothes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I guess, cultures really come into play with this question that I'm asking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's look at, like, the word love itself, not so much the courting,
Mhm.
but what is old school love? Like, how did people say our parents or, back in the day or even our earlier years of love, what did that mean? What did that really mean to you?
Yeah, it wasn't a swipe right love, okay?
Obviously not.
No, it wasn't a hookup love. It wasn't a one night stand love. It was more like what you said, a commitment. And uh, there was no, because if you look at, I mean, my mom and dad, my dad did, left my mom, so, but they were together for 36 years. And I see my grandpa and my grandmother, they were together for a long time. My uncle and my aunt, they were together for, I mean, forever, forever. It was, I saw love that was enduring,
Mm.
love that was, no matter what the situation. I envied some of my classmates' parents. I did. I really envied their, my classmates' parents because of their love lasted and was tested through time. Not only through the time, but also through poverty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't have much, but man, oh man, they were rich in love. Rich in love. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the kind of, love I think that I would I'm sort of thinking about being old school where there's commitment, there's loyalty, there's like you called an enduring love where you work through things. Couples back then, I think, work through the love. They work through the
Mhm.
issues. They didn't just, like you said, swipe left, swipe right, just go back to an app or a dating site. It was, it was really, they were committed. They were focused on making
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah. They really meant till death do us part.
Yeah, literally taking it literally. And of
Yeah.
course, we're talking about, I guess, situations where things were workable, right? Obviously, if
Mhm.
things were like there was abuse and violence, that's a whole different story, right?
A whole different
Because back
story. Yeah.
then they didn't have all the counselors and all the psychologists that were just there for them at easy hand to go and console with. People would
Right.
console with their
Right.
families, wouldn't they? Their immediate
Mhm.
families or a close friend, to share maybe what they were going through. But yeah, old school love and is somewhat like that. But I'm going to go over that with you. But what about new school love?
Oh gosh.
What's new school? What rings a bell for you when you hear new school love?
The new school love is like an open concept, I guess.
Open
Because
concept, did you say? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, an open concept. It's more like because polyamorous. I think that's what they call it.
Yes. Where you have more than
And I didn't know what that was. I was like, what? So it's now it's the love
explain that,
now. The
Zanetta, while you're there, what polyamorous actually is, 'cause there's probably a few people out there that might not know.
Yeah. So a polyamorous is an individual who does not prefer one sex from the other. They're more into, and I had to kind of like dig into it and kind of understand where this terminology came from. And so it's not about the gender. It's more so of, I guess, the experience or because they say that love is more of a feeling rather than a gender. So that's how I understood the polyamorous, because, they're saying they're not, I'm going to use, terminologies that they said. They're not lesbians or, gay, but they're not, bisexual as well. They're open. So they don't have a label outside of polyamorous.
Right. So it's just
Confusing as it is, I hope I did it justice.
okay, okay. And so the new school love, keep going, to you is how's like that sort of
Well, I think because I'm still in the old school and I'm still in the romantic, romanticizing a relationship, the happily ever after kind of love or relationship. Um, the new school, I can learn from some of you know, their stances, because the new school is like, you abuse me, that's it, I'm gone.
Mm.
You cheat on me, that's it, I'm gone. um we don't see eye to eye, that's it, I'm gone. It's not a enduring, it's more of a hmm, self-preservation.
Mm.
That's how it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Communication is no longer a vital part. um Understanding, um yeah, putting yourself in another person's shoe, or the one that you're having a relationship with. It's more so me, 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 me,
Yeah.
which I can
Yes.
understand.
And in some cases, it needs to be a little bit more self-loving rather than self-preserving, I probably would say, right?
Yeah.
Because if you love yourself, you can then love someone else, or be able to be loving and be able to
Right.
understand love because you have an understanding of yourself as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how do you think this new love compares, like, to old love?
I think, and this is just me, I think that the new generation, um they're starting to, even though that they want this new love or this newfound freedom of, lay whoever you want to lay with, love whoever you want to love. I think they're getting to the point to when they really have that love, that they would go the old school way, quote unquote old school way, which is an enduring love. They're finding themselves, understanding or working through problems. Yeah. I think the older you get, the more you're going to the old. Because, when we were growing up, we thought our parents were like
Old.
old school. And so we wanted to do what we wanted to do. We didn't want I'm not going to, do the courtship.
Right.
I found my freedom. I'm not going to do the courtship. I'm just going to do whoever I want to do it with. But then as you grow older, you're like, dang, I should have kept that
Mm.
tradition. I should have kept that, that mindset of, you know, um, getting to know the individual, and then enduring that kind of relationship, that love.
Yeah, and yes, at the same time, if we hadn't have experienced that free love in the beginning, we wouldn't know what
Yeah.
it's like. So it's sort of like a catch-22 really, isn't it? Because you may have gone through
Right.
life living and working through the old school love, but feeling like you've missed out on that new school love because you've missed out on that freedom of knowing what that is. So it's neither
Yeah.
here or there. It could be as a positive. It actually could be an advantage to have experienced that
Yeah.
freedom, and then to have the wisdom as you get, more mature in life, to understand that, hey, this is not serving me anymore. This is not what I want. I
Yeah.
want to kind of
Yeah.
veer through back to old school. So let me just give you a little definition. Um,
Oh, let's get some
yeah.
definitions.
So it's pretty straightforward, I guess. But old school love, also known as traditional love, right? is
Mhm.
characterized by its focus on commitment, really like focusing on the commitment, the loyalty, the sacrifice. And this is something
Mhm.
that, I know I've seen with my parents particularly, that in old school relationships, partners often put up with, put their needs aside in
Yeah.
order to make their relationship work. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I think there wasn't a balance. I think it just became too much to focus on the other person that you weren't focusing on yourself, because nowadays people are saying you need to love yourself. You need to before you can love another. And I think in
Right.
our earlier years of life, we're not really taught how to love ourselves at the same time
Right.
as loving others.
Yeah.
We feel like this love has to be projected always onto others first before
Yeah.
ourselves, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And love was seen as a serious commitment, and couples would often work through any issues, right? Like we said earlier, like
Right.
they would just face the issues together. They
Mhm.
wouldn't run and hide or, you know, stonewall each other rather than, um, giving up on the relationship. They would work through their issues.
Right. Right.
Today, in the new school love, it's a bit like, um, my mum says it's really funny. She says it's a bit like takeaway. Like you get all your food, you take away food, and then you just throw it out. Whatever you don't want, you just throw out. So, yeah,
Right.
there's a saying in Italian, where you use and then just throw it out.
Mm.
Because it's all about a consumer type world that we're living in, right? And
Yeah.
this is slightly transferred into our relationships as well. Would
Mhm.
you agree? I don't know, am I going too far with this? But there
No,
is
no.
that kind of, energy about it, I think, which is transferred into our relationships. So the new school love, on the other hand, is characterized by its emphasis on independence, self-care, and open communication, which
Mhm.
Uh, in some cases, I have to say open communication. How? Via texting, via, emails. So we need to, I guess, question that. Yes, there's more communication. We're stepping into our power. We're using our voice more, expressing, letting our partners know how we feel, which is all a good thing too. But in the new school relationships and love, partners prioritize their own needs and prioritize their own happiness. Period. So why are you laughing?
No, I mean, I can see where, because I'm looking back in all of the generations, because we have examples and we have seen movies and things like that, and our grandparents um, uh, if you take a look at the old school, it was um, I would say
Yes.
out of convenience, and because the we didn't have what we have today, even back when we were growing up. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah, we just had the stack
So,
of cyclopedias that sat there that we hardly read.
right. So we had a limited demographic. We weren't exposed to what, the generation now has been exposed to. The gosh, the ones that are in their 30s
Mhm.
have been exposed to. So if you take a look back, you're like, they're not the ones that are in the era of internet are now in their 30s going into their 40s. Can you believe that? Yeah, so they have more exposure to the world than we
Mhm.
did. So by the time we were brought into this kind of setting or this kind of environment where we can also be caught up in the swipe right, swipe left, you know, the uh, the hmm, I want to say it delicately, the value of love has diminished.
Absolutely.
The value of love has diminished because now people are quick or quick to send a selfie, you know pictures, and just, oh, hi, Wayne. All of these forbidden pictures that you don't so yeah, so we're not introduced to that. And because our generation, we were kind of limited as well. So there was a limit of exposure. There was a limit of, who we can meet. If we didn't go out, we wouldn't meet anyone. If we didn't go outside of our town, we wouldn't meet anyone, outside of the town. If you look back at all the old songs, hometown girl, girl next door, high school sweetheart, I married my high school. It is very rare nowadays when for someone to say, I married my high school
Oh, I
sweetheart.
know. Yet
Right?
yet I've heard of relationships where they dated their high school sweetheart, then broke up, then got married with someone else, had children, and have returned back to their sweetheart, high
Yes.
school sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a conversation with a good friend of mine that this lady is in her
Mm.
60s and divorced. Found herself divorced at 60. You know, it's hard to fathom, but then if you take a look at what's being provided today, all of the temptations, all of the, different things that that can cause someone to
Diverged.
and so that um, so it's kind of hard to go old school, say, yeah, this is really, what we need is old school, but then you're like, no, because then the male role is, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and the female role is, oh, you're gonna be home and cooking and cleaning, and that's old. Try that today.
Yeah, try that. Try that on for fit, or if you can find one that fits.
Right. So it's kind of hard to, say old school versus
Mm,
new love. And I mean, there's pros and cons for both of
right,
them. There's
right. But, having
uh,
said that, I think, this whole thing where the husband works and the wife stays home, and I've got to tell you a little story. It's a real story because it pertains to my parents. When my mum um, had my brother, she was home for a short period of time looking after him because I still wasn't around. And she decided that she wanted to work because she could see that the bills with dad's wage, it wasn't enough to like get ahead in life. She could see that,
mhm.
by the time they paid this and paid that and rent and food and bills, they really didn't have a lot. So she decided that
Mhm.
let's put my brother, they didn't have daycare in those days. They had babysitters. They had women that would look after children, either 1,
Mhm.
2, or 3, and that you would take your child to someone that you could trust and to look after your child. And they found, after many attempts, they found a good one because, unfortunately, back in the day, people would raise their hands, and he would come home. He was only about, I think, not even a year old. He had bruises. The mum knew, like, oh my God, I can't be leaving my child here. So she ended up finding this really lovely lady, older woman, to look after my brother. So where am I going with this? The fact that mum was working and dad was working, and back then mum would say, the nappies weren't disposable nappies. They were cloth
Mhm.
nappies where you
Mm.
would have to.
Mhm. Yes. For those of you that are Americans, she's talking about a diaper.
Right, yeah, diapers, that's it. We call them nappies. That's right, diapers,
Let
diapers.
me be the
Oh, thank
interpreter.
you, Sunetta, that's right. It's like the car park, isn't it?
Yes, the cop pop.
We talk about that another time. But anyway, the nappies, the diapers. So mum would have to come home, start cooking, dad would come home. They'd pick up my brother and then start work at home, cooking, cleaning, and of course, cleaning these diapers, cleaning these nappies, because this woman wouldn't
Mhm.
clean the nappies. She would just put them in a bag and give them back to mum. So my mum would say, she said, I had the best husband out because he would help her wash these nappies. Both of them would get in the laundry sink because they had no washing machine back then, you know,
By
by hand.
hand.
We're talking, early 60s. It was all by hand. And yeah, my dad would do that. My dad would do that and help and chip in and, help with cleaning and whatever, sweeping, whatever needed to be done, he would be there and help him out. So they would be working as a team.
Mhm.
Today, um, or then, in that era too, there were men that wouldn't do that. There were men that, like, they
Right.
would. My mum wouldn't publicly share that with anyone because she felt she had to kind of like respect my dad's masculinity. You know what I mean? Like in those
Yeah.
days,
Yeah,
because
protected
he would
masculinity, yeah.
be frowned upon by his friends if they knew he was
Mhm.
washing nappies, diapers for his wife, or helping her.
Right.
And but my dad was like, "What's the big deal? The quicker we get this done, the quicker I spend more time with my wife." Because my dad was a real lover, like he was into, being with my mum. He just adored my mum. So what I'm saying is, so there was that era. Nowadays, we're actually moving back to that. What my dad was actually doing back in the 60s, men are actually doing it today because women are working.
Yes.
Women are.
And there are, stay-at-home dads.
Yes, there are a lot more than what you think. In fact, I
Yes.
was speaking to someone not long ago where his wife was the businesswoman. She's the one that, held the fort together, but he was a super dad.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
was a super dad. However, she still. Yeah, that was an interesting conversation, but we're diverging. But she felt like he wasn't being the man in the house, but yet someone had to do it. Someone had to look after the child, right? And she
Right.
had the ability, the intelligence, the experience, the business know-how to keep going, but yet she got tired of it, you see, and their relationship broke up.
Mm.
But going back to what we were talking about, new school love and old school love, it's that commitment. It's that working together. How can we move forward? How can we make this work? It's not just
Mhm.
me, 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 I.
Right.
You need self care. you need self love, you need time out, but you need a
Mhm.
balance. I believe you need a balance. You can't just
Right.
withdraw and then expect that relationship to still keep going because
Mhm.
it needs investing in as well.
Right.
And
Right.
hence why I think sometimes people jump into relationships too quickly without having had done the work on themselves. And I
Yeah.
see it all the time in couples or singles that have just come out of a
Mhm.
relationship and can't handle being on their own. So they jump into another relationship because the
Mhm.
feeling of loneliness, which I
Right.
want to talk about this in another episode because loneliness is also the new epidemic that is really hitting our world seriously. So,
Mm.
this fear of being alone, this fear of never having someone to love or love them back is crippling
Mhm.
people. So,
Yeah.
out of this fear, they'll then jump into another relationship without having done the work on themselves, without having the pure understanding that we are all pure love and that we need to nourish ourselves to the point that we can then have another love in our lives
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
sustain it because our cup is full for ourselves, that we don't need that other person to keep it full for us. It's a sharing.
Right.
That person is full of love, this person is full of love, and we come together and just mix our love together, right? And strengthen each other.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that new love is really something different, isn't it? And I just wanted to finish off, Zanetta, before I continue what I was saying. Love is in new school love, love is seen as less serious commitment. And couples are more likely to end a relationship if it no longer serves them. One of the biggest differences between old school and new school love is the way in which we communicate. And that's what I wanted to talk about, the communication that we have in old school
Yeah.
love as opposed to new school love. Where do you think
Yeah.
do you think that's like definitely has a big
Oh.
influence?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It is. I'm just looking back at my relationship. Uh, I was married for 25 years, and the communication
Was what? Say it, say it, say it.
was slim to none.
Mm. But was it like that from the
Yeah.
very beginning, Zanetta? May I ask? But you just didn't really.
Yeah. 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 Oh, Tatiana. Hi,
Tiana,
Tatiana.
how are you? Welcome, welcome.
Yes.
Serve me.
The new one is serve me. The old one is serve you.
Yes, that's what we were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. I'm
So
not sure if you just popped in now or heard the earlier part of the show. Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Even in the beginning, because it was more about the children because we had children, at early. So it was like getting the children, getting this done, him being in the military. I just got out of the military. And so he's being deployed all the time. So there's nothing, no real communication. I mean, this is what the kids did. This is, the school, so you're now having all of that distraction. Um, and you think it's communication, but it really isn't.
No,
It is not. It's talking about the kids, and that's about it. Um, and what's for dinner,
did you
and
pay the bill?
so I pay the bills. Yeah, how much are we gonna, pay on this one because we need money, for this, and so there's a lot of juggling life, and there's not a lot of communication as to how one can contribute or how one can help or things of that nature. I think it's more so of um, just trying to
Mm-hmm.
survive. He was just trying to survive, and yeah, uh, transactional. Yeah, that's spot on.
Rather
Spot
than
on. It was transactional. Yeah. So, and then I got to the point to where, I want to work. Well, here comes the macho. You know, well, if you're going to work, then you're going to have to figure out a way to work and take care of the kids and clean and cook. So I found a way.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. These type of men that just don't want to like see as, well, my woman is trying to help me out here. Like we're a team. And rather than keeping it as a team, there's this segregation of duties that have to be done. And it becomes a lot of pressure, doesn't it? Because you think, well, I'm
Yeah, oh yeah,
participating because we can add more, finances, and we can struggle less. We can
right.
have a little bit more and have a better lifestyle.
Yeah. And then when we divorced, then I became the new, fell into the new, swipe right.
The new love. Share. Like,
Yeah,
and did you do that intentionally,
yeah,
or you
I
did?
did.
And was it
Yeah, it
what,
was
intentionally
intentional.
because of a little bit of anger there, maybe, or like resentment? Like,
Yeah, it was more like a I still got it. I'm still, oh, I see a lot of them swipe right with me. Like, but yeah, so I still got it. Well, let me check this
yes,
out.
yes,
It's more feeding the
right.
ego because of it was trampled for so long that so that fizzled out really quick.
Mm,
It did. And then I got into a relationship to where we had a mutual understanding that, because the first thing I said, I am not planning on getting married. So the other individual as well said, yeah, I'm not either. So we had a mutual understanding that, yeah, we can cohabitate without, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But then 4 years down the line, I find out, oh, so you're swiping right too, huh?
right.
But I was committed to just
Right.
that. Um, and so I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. No more. I'm too old for this. I can just focus on my career and just move on, and I'm okay with it. Have fun with my kids and my grandkids. Life is good.
Hmm.
Until I met Jeff.
And everything
Yeah,
changed.
met Jeff, and um, now that communication. I guess because the reason why we had such a intense communication, it was because I laid it out in the beginning. Not gonna marry, not gonna do this. You try to, one hint of you trying to control me. What? I mean, yes, serious conversation. We would have a lot of talks of, you know, um, well, my ex did this, and I am not gonna, tolerate that. It's just certain things, and yeah. So that's what happened, and that's mm-mm, just leave it.
Okay. So so
Yeah,
yeah, so communication is really, really important. And what's happening
yeah,
now in this new love, I think the communication really isn't there
no,
because we're being also distracted by a lot of social media, where all this shiny metal objects that are coming to us all the time. And let's face it, how many times do you go to a restaurant or a coffee shop and you actually do see couples sitting together on their phones?
Yeah, oh, I was gonna say sitting together and having a conversation.
Having
you,
a
you
conversation
rarely
with
see
someone
it.
else, texting, I just
Right.
feel that sometimes this is really something that we're not even aware of doing it. It actually, we can just get sucked into that vortex of digital world, even when we're with our
Yeah.
loved ones, that, oh, I'm only going to be on here for a minute just till I get, and before you know it, you get another message coming through, you get that, and then before you know it,
Right.
you've lost 15 minutes. But you're on it for 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. We have our rule in the house. Dinner time, no electronics at the table.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think,
So
yeah,
we're conversing.
and I think that is awesome because back in the day, we'd also, we'd have the phone on the wall or on the bed. We'd take the
Right.
phone off the hook while we were
Oh,
having dinner as a family,
wow.
which meant we don't have to answer the phone while we're eating. So there's no distractions.
Right.
So I guess in today's world, it's like turn your phone off, put it on
Just
silent, or put the phone totally away from you so you're not tempted on answering that phone, right?
right.
What's
Yeah.
Tatiana say now? Saying?
Effective communication, i.e., comprehension of the communication. Yeah, that is so vital. So vital, Tatiana. Um, I was just talking to my Kazaya, and she was explaining. She said, "Oh, we're on chapter 3, but I already read ahead, and I'm already in chapter 5." I said, "It's all good and grand that you're in chapter 5, but just because you're reading doesn't mean that it. You need to comprehend what you're reading."
Absolutely.
you know um, because the communication part is important, but the understanding is vital.
Right.
Because there can be communication, but there can be misunderstanding. You're not understanding me, or you're saying the same thing in two different ways, and both of you are kind of
Right.
like,
So
yeah.
we're
So
not
comprehension is
so we're
very
not
vital.
listening, because that's another vital part of our communication is being able to listen.
Yeah.
Because sure, we
Hmm.
communicate and to understand and comprehend. And of course, that's where the dialogue comes in and say, well, I don't understand what you mean. Can you break that down for me? There's no harm in doing that. And I think a lot of people, we fall into that trap of just taking in what's being said and generalizing it, deleting it, or distorting it. So therefore, we don't have
Yeah.
comprehension of what has been said because we're not taking the time to um, act and listen and ask questions. We're
Right.
reacting. And when we get into that state of reaction and reacting, you've lost. You then get into your emotions because then that starts tapping into, well, how's that making me feel? And that's triggering something
Mhm.
in me. And then you go, because it's a trigger, it'll take you back to 20 years ago when you felt that with Bob.
Right.
And now
Or
it's like Jeff's now saying this, and I'm feeling all this stuff about
right.
Bob. And then you start reacting from a place of what you felt with Bob, and then you lose the whole the whole
Right. Or even, during certain things that might have been said by Jeff and I didn't say anything. I didn't communicate to him that kind of hurt me a little bit. Can you what did you mean by that? So if you're not communicating it during that time and you just say, okay, well, and just keep on pushing it down, and then on that one day, here everything comes up, and remember what you said, that, and then another thing, and the person's like, wait a minute, what?
What happened? Like, what just happened there? I just said one thing, and this person's just fired 5 things back at me.
Right, yeah. Because of that miscommunication. So Jeff and I have learned to rephrase, what the other person is saying. What we'll do is, what you're saying is dot 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 dot, and he might say, yeah, that's what I meant, or he might say, no, you totally misunderstood me, I meant this.
Right.
Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally went left field, because we interpret someone's communication off of our own experience.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, for an example,
Tatiana said,
Zanetta,
yeah.
you need, like, Zanetta, well, you need to lose weight, and that was a sore subject back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? And all it was a loving, kind of suggestion, like, I wasn't saying that you're, these are your medical, this is the result of your medical, you need to do something about it. It's okay for your doctor to say it, why can't I say it? So that kind of thing. So those are kind of misunderstanding that we project to our, partner or spouse or loved one. That is a part of something that we're experiencing on the inside that we feel we haven't healed from yet.
Correct. And if we can understand that whatever is triggering us, it's actually a great thing, because it's actually feedback to make us look within and say, okay, well, what is it in me that's happened, that this is happening? What is it that's triggering me? What needs to be healed in me? What needs attention within me? And so communication is key. And what did Tatiana say here, the last bit? I put it up before. It says, or understanding through filters and belief. Exactly what I was saying earlier. We have internal representations of what we internalize, and then represent what it represents for us, and we either delete, distort, or generalize. And when we do that, that's when we'll fall into a problem, because then we'll start creating these stories, and before you know it, projecting it back on that other person.
Right.
So yes, communication is definitely
it's
vital. And unfortunately, because of technology, because of digital, we're losing it, where we're not getting together and dialoguing, we're not conversing, we're not having, because then what happens, again, I say to people, there are certain conversations you just can't have via texting with a loved one, or with someone that you're having a heated or a very intense conversation, because there's no way that you can communicate what you're saying via text. And again, you're gonna fall into that category of getting it all distorted, because there's no energy and tone. What energy is coming through on that text can be misinterpreted. How many times have you received a message, you go, oh, one time I remember I was told, what's all the rush? I don't know what I said, something like, oh, what are you doing? Like, how long are you going to be? Now, how long are you going to be, for someone that's running behind, can actually feel like, oh my God, they're putting pressure on me. Whereas the person that's actually writing, how long are you going to be, is literally saying, well, how long are you going to be, so I can work out what I've got to do in between time. Do you know what I'm saying? And I have
Mhm.
fallen into that situation where it got out of hand, got out of context because that person was feeling triggered in some way and was felt that I was putting pressure on them and making them feel a certain way. So yes,
Yeah.
these conversations need to be held verbally. Needs to be, if it's not
Yeah.
face to face, it needs to be even on the phone because the voice, the energy will come through in a total different way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And not only with the email or with the text, it doesn't have tone. And when the person is reading it, they're reading it via what they're feeling. You know, whatever whatever their hangups are.
At that time.
Yes, you know, and so it can get out of hand real quick. So just like with my job, so I send notifications a lot of notifications saying, hey, I'm Zanetta. You know, I'm contacting you because I need to interview you because you have been named as, a witness or responsible, person being accused of what dot dot dot. So the email is very robotic and very straight to the point, like it's like demanding. And so sometimes, well, majority of the time, they will respond with, I don't know why I'm getting this. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, automatically defense mode, right?
No, like, so I would always request, hey, let's have a conversation. So what I'll do, I started doing it switched. I switched it now. Now it's not very often that the individuals don't have a phone number, but unfortunately, some of them don't put their phone numbers.
Mm.
So I can't call them, and they can't hear my voice and my tone. So then I'll leave a message. For that's what I'll do first. I'll leave a message. Of course, I know they're not going to answer the phone. I know they're not going to answer the phone. Why? Because they know they're going to talk to me. So they avoid that and they'll listen to the voicemail first. And then I'll follow up with an email. Now, when they hear my voice or they hear my message, then I'll automatically get a phone call right away.
Mm.
Yeah. So and that's why I'll explain to them. That's the reason why I would like a conversation so that you can hear my tone. And whenever I do the interview, I make sure that my camera is on so that they can see my facial expression. And the reason why I do that is so that it becomes comfortable for
Mhm.
them because it's already a stressful environment.
Mm.
Now, when it comes to friends,
Yes. Talk about friends, baby.
now let's talk about friends. Sometimes friends can misinterpret a lot of things because of the situation that they're in. And then start using words that are accusatory, demeaning, and disrespectful. And so when that starts to happen, let me tell you what Zanetta does. I don't usually use myself as a third person. I usually don't say, well, Zanetta does that. No, I usually don't. But in this instant, I am. Zanetta will ignore you. I'm serious. I will ignore you. I will. Because no way, shape, or form will I allow anyone, regardless of how long we are friends, regardless of what kind of a relationship we have, when you start overstepping your boundary and start to talk demeaning, disrespectful and accusatory, I don't need you. Plain and simple.
Drop the mic. Annetta has spoken. Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously there's a build up to that, right? Because that's probably not the first time that that's happened.
Right? Yeah.
I'm because knowing you just don't slice someone off just like that. There is a build up. There is
I
a
don't.
build up to it. There is obviously
Yeah.
a repeat of the same behavior, and therefore it'll just come a time.
A repeat offender.
Where
A repeat
a
offender.
repeat offender.
Yeah. 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 If you're
And that's fair enough.
if
I mean, it has to, you know, if this is something that is disturbing you and making you feel uncomfortable and you're not liking the energy, there is nothing wrong with removing yourself from that.
Right. Right. I mean, there's a way to talk to anyone. Anyone. I mean, let's forget the fact talking to a friend. You know, because sometimes we feel emboldened to talk to our friends any old kind of way.
We feel what, sorry? What was the word you used?
You know, any old kind of way.
Emboldened, you said?
Yeah, emboldened. We feel emboldened to, you know, start saying some stuff, naming, you know, giving a label, giving a name to our friends. And yet, how dare you start talking about your friend like this, but yet you want to use flowery words, you know, complimentary words, you know, to a stranger. You're going to respect a stranger more than you're going to respect your friend. I don't need you. I don't need that. I really don't. There is a way to, you know, to talk to a friend. Now, I know you. We've known each other for going on 6 years.
And then we'll be
And
having an anniversary soon.
Yes. You know, and I've known you to be the person who has such a big heart that your heart is so big it's easily crushed. Because it's so big. It's so big. Mine is this.
No, it's not.
You have to pinpoint it for it to be crushed.
Not true.
No.
Not true.
But you have that heart for, you know, individuals, and so I know you, and when I start to, you know, tell you certain things, I know what to say and how to say things, you know, how to say it. With you, you know me. You know me. I can take it. Now, Zanetta, you know we were wrong. Like, yep, I was, and I'm proud of it. But to know the individual, you have to know how to approach
Absolutely.
the person.
That's right. Well, that's part of love. Don't you call that part of love? That's part of loving that person and meeting them where they're at and communicating to them in a way that they will understand best, you know. And, you know, there's times where we're hurt. We all get hurt. We all hurt others. Right? We're not perfect little beings running around and going, I don't want to be hurt. You just hurt me. We're out there doing the same thing, hurting other people, whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of it. So this is where we need to, you know, bring in love is acceptance. Absolutely, Tatiana. I couldn't agree more.
Spot on.
And it's acceptance, and love is forgiveness. So if you're going to accept, you also have to forgive. Right? And if you can't forgive, you can't really love. You need both. You need both. And I don't care what people say when it comes to forgiveness. It's not religious. It's not, you know, it's got nothing to do with religion. You know, some people can even call it letting go. Forgiveness is letting go. Really removing that letting go, that pain, and being able to talk about it where it doesn't upset you anymore. That's when you've had real forgiveness. That's when you can
Right.
still talk about it and it's not, heart-wrenching and pulling on your heart in a way that you feel you're still going to die every time you talk about it. So, and I
Right.
think in today's new love, we're forgetting to forgive. We're forgetting to accept. You know, um, acceptance also doesn't mean, uh, people walk all,
Being
sorry?
right.
Yeah,
Walking all
people
over
walking
you.
all over
Right.
you, or forgiveness doesn't mean you can still, be walked all over
Have a
with that
relationship.
same person. It just means letting go of something that I always put the analogy of like a splinter, right? It's
Mhm.
like pulling out that splinter, right? Going really deep, pulling it out so it doesn't hurt on the inside anymore. Because sometimes you can pull out a splinter,
Right.
but still there's a little bit down the end that's still in there. So
Mhm. Yeah.
unless we're prepared to do that and forgive ourselves and accept
Mhm.
ourselves, yeah, acceptance
Right.
isn't only about accepting others, but accepting ourselves, you know, and taking responsibility for ourselves,
Right.
then we're not going to experience true love. We're not going to experience
Yes.
true love.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we talk about old school love and new school love, it's just love that's being modified. People are modifying it to suit themselves
Yeah.
in today's era.
Yeah.
That's all. Because
Yeah.
love is love. Love is energy. We are love.
Yeah.
We
We
are
are.
love. We're connected to love, to source, to the creator, whatever you want to talk and say and express it is we are love. And I think it's
Mhm.
such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Um, and I love talking about this and I love where I am with this in my life because I've done the work and I'm still doing the work. And I know
Mhm.
I'll probably still be
Yeah.
doing the work for the next however many
Yeah.
years I'm going to be around on this planet. And I just love it. I love it. And when I think about some of my reactions and my experiences of years ago and how I would react and the pain and the torment I would put myself through, I just have a little chuckle now. I laugh at it.
Yeah.
I can't believe I
Yeah.
even allowed myself to go through that. But what we've got to understand is we had to go through that to now understand where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And just listening to you talk about how you talk about love, and looking back at how you reacted, and now because you worked on yourself, and it's a journey. It's a until you go 6 feet under, or in ashes in an urn,
Uh,
however you want to go.
which only means the body
uh,
goes, like the body deteriorates, but spiritually we're
right.
just evolving again.
Right. And that's what love is too. Because love is so complex. Love is you know, it's not a one size fit all.
No.
It's a self journey, a self realization, a self acceptance, a self forgiveness, a self growth, a self letting go. um when you talked about letting go, it's growth. Growth means that you have to shed some things. And sometimes when you grow, a good example, a good analogy is that when you get on the elevator on the first floor and go to the second
Mhm.
story, second level, you're leaving the first level behind.
That's right. Yeah.
There's no, when you get to the second level, the first level is there too. No, it's different. It's totally different. So there's a separation of growth. And sometimes we can't accept the separation of friendship.
Mhm.
We can't accept the separation of, the love. And so when we don't accept it, there's there's not a the understanding is not there.
Mhm.
The understanding of, oh, we're growing.
Mhm.
That's why we say we grew apart.
Yeah.
At least you grew apart. You grew and not diminished apart. So yeah, it's a growing. It's a there's this one saying of some people come for a season, reason, and a
Mhm.
lifetime. We quote that, but we don't accept it.
Amen to that. I agree. And, on
Yeah.
that note, I did a talk on that. Remember a year ago, I did a
Hmm.
talk on it
Yeah.
because I just experienced that with someone as a friend in my life. And, that really hurt. You remember when I went through that? And,
Yeah.
but it's okay now. And the
Yes.
great thing for me is because, I mean, you've known me for nearly 6 years, Zanetta, and from what I was 6 years ago to now. I mean,
Yeah.
I've definitely evolved and grown and jumped some hurdles. But I can see that now that needed to happen for me to move up. That
Yeah.
person was the perfect catalyst in my life to push me as much as it hurt
Yes.
back then. Um, and I could see how I was so tunnel visioned, even when you would have these conversations with me. And there was just no
Mhm.
way that I would listen. I know, I'll take what I just didn't wanna know. It's like, no, it can't be like that, but it had to happen until I released it and let it go, forgave myself and forgave others,
Right.
and accepted the whole thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just when the magic really happened, and I can only send love to those people, miss them, because
Yeah.
every one of them, you know, they there's beautiful qualities in those people.
Yeah.
Beau
Yeah. And they contribute as too much as they can for your growth.
Exactly. E
And that's it. Because the more, we say that, there's a saying in the Bible, well, it's in the Bible that, um, you are the salt of the earth and the light of the world, be the light of the world.
Mhm.
Um, what does that mean? That means that um, when you are the salt, it doesn't mean to preserve, it means to give flavor.
Mm.
It means to give flavor. And so when the Bible says that when you lose your flavor or your savory, you're no good. What do we do in a kitchen when the salt is no good?
Turf it out. That's
Throw it
it.
out because it doesn't give
Flavor.
flavor anymore.
I like that.
So once the salt loses its
Wisdom.
flavor, it does you no good. The more you put it, it's not going to do
Mm.
anything. So it's becoming actually more toxic.
Exactly. Actually, there's an expression that says, "Oh, what's your flavor?" So even that,
Yeah,
that's like, what?
yeah. So they're there to add
Yeah.
spice, to you, and then be the light of be a light. What does that mean? The meaning of light. Um, it's two things. One, it shines bright, it shows everything, but it also shows the flaws.
Mhm. Brightly. Wouldn't you say? Brightly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So when somebody says, oh, you're such an angel, okay, angel light, shining, and then when this angel starts telling you what I think you have an issue. I think you have a problem. Oh, all of a sudden, I'm the devil? Wait a minute. Wait. So the light shines bright. It makes everything look, beautiful, and you can see everything. Also, you can see the faults, the because darkness have to go away. So it sheds light on what used to be dark.
Yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And Tatiana also said earlier, a great analogy with the lift and elevator. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Separation. That's growth. That's all
Mhm.
it is.
I also
Yeah.
like to use the analogy with your rubbish. You call it trash
Mhm.
there in the States. When you throw it out, we throw it out. We don't go back into the trash and start digging up what we didn't eat yesterday and we turfed it out. So
Mm.
the same thing
Right.
with our emotions, our feelings, and with situations, we don't go back. There's
Mhm.
this separation, there's this detachment. We've got to let it go.
Yeah.
Got to let it go.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why the butterfly is a really great example. From caterpillar to a chrysalis. It went from crawling on its belly to hanging on a little. I mean, it's hanging for its life, and it's being crammed in because it's it's transforming from being on the dirt, crawling, to um, gaining wings.
Hmm.
And once the caterpillar turns into the chrysalis and then has its wings, the butterfly no longer thinks caterpillar mentality. It doesn't crawl on its belly.
Mm,
It uses its wings
to
to
fly.
fly.
Yeah,
And you never would think a butterfly was a caterpillar unless you really think, oh, that used to be a caterpillar.
right.
And you
But
don't call it a caterpillar.
no, but it did the work to transform. It did the
Yeah.
work, which is going to take it back into just what I'm about to say here, and really wrapping up about love, new old school love and new school love, is the change in the way we experience love is not only a reflection of societal changes, but also a reflection of our own personal growth.
Personal growth. Yes.
Personal growth.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's so we blame it on society. Oh, society and digital and this and that. Yeah, that's all happening. That's always been happening because the world's been evolving all the time, right?
Hmm.
But the change we experience of love is not a reflection of just societal changes. It is a reflection of your own personal growth. So old school love is often seen as more restrictive, while new school love is seen as more liberating. It is important, this is where
Hmm.
I think this is so important, is it is important to find a balance that works for you.
Right.
So true. What works for you now as you've been working and evolving, and your partner, if you have one.
Hmm.
And to
Yeah.
remember that love is a constantly evolving emotion.
Yeah.
Right? Energy,
Hmm.
emotion. It's constantly growing, evolving, and you know, even say for example, your love 5 years ago. Is it 5 years you've been with Jeff? 6? I can't remember.
Hmm.
Is
Well, we've known
totally
each other 8.
8. Okay. So from 8 years ago to say now, hasn't it evolved? Hasn't it grown?
Oh,
Hasn't it
yes.
become stronger, different, more dynamic, more whatever, right?
Hmm.
So we have to remember that love is constantly evolving. So the differences, I guess we shouldn't be getting caught up too much in the differences, but really working on ourselves to
Right.
evolve in that
Yeah.
love of where
Yeah.
we're at and grow, just
Mhm.
allow ourselves to become that butterfly.
Yeah.
That sounds a
Yeah.
bit cheesy, but
And celebrate each other's growth, celebrate each other's, there's always a new version. I like what Tatiana said. The butterfly is embodying the new version of itself. And we constantly go through this. We have a new version of ourselves all the time. I'm not the same Zanetta, 2 weeks ago because I've learned some stuff.
mhm.
I've worked things out. I've contemplated on a whole lot of stuff. So, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly, you know, um, becoming a better version of ourselves. And if, I can't see that for you, then I don't deserve to be in your life.
Yes. Drop the mic. Repeat that again. That's a repetition. A rep
Yeah, if I don't see that for you, your growth, your evolution, and then I don't deserve to be in your life
mhm. Mm.
because then my salt has lost
It's
its flavor.
flavor. Yes. You're
Yeah. If I don't celebrate you,
Yep. That is so true. That's so true. So yeah, in life, love, relationships, it's a celebration. And we need to remind each other.
yes,
Just thinking. So I celebrate you, Zanetta. I
yes,
celebrate every one of you out there that's listening. I celebrate you, Tatiana.
yes, I celebrate you, Tatiana. That's some good stuff that you're putting there. Yes.
Yes. Actually,
And
we've caught her. What are you doing? You're cleaning out cupboards still? She's doing a big declutter.
oh, and Hugler?
Huglo's there?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't
Philosophy of
see him.
love.
Where did he
Yes.
say hello? I didn't see him earlier.
Mhm.
How are you, Ugla?
Yeah, and so yeah, my best friend came on too. My best friend
He
Lisa.
wrote The Philosophy of Love.
Yeah, he said philosophy of love, and that's my best friend
Well,
Lisa from the
this has been a
Philippines.
great conversation, hasn't it?
Yes, this
I've,
was really good.
I've enjoyed this whole old school love and new school love. But yeah, let's have more love conversations. What do you think of
Mhm.
Fridays? Um, did Tatiana just write something else? I think so.
Yeah.
Something Jim Rohan said that I caught in a recent video. She says, the best service I can give to you as a friend, as family, as a colleague, is to is to
Develop myself.
personally develop myself. Yes.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And then she said, "Thank you, ladies." And then old school love to you from me.
Uh-huh. We accept. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But this has been a great episode today. I've really, really enjoyed it. We did have a 2-week break. If you didn't notice, we were gone. Some of you were texting, DMing us. No, we
Mhm.
didn't go away for good. We just had a little pause, which has been great. We've come back with lots of love and action
And passion.
and passion. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yes.
And thank you, Zanetta, as
Thank
always.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for a great topic
And as always, we want to wish you a great weekend, great week ahead, and we send you lots of love.
and passion.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.